Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I hope you had a wonderful New Year's and are ready to conquer 2022.
Whatever this year decides to bring.
So today I want to focus on seasonality of freight as well as the freight cycle. And the goal here is to give you some insight into how the freight market changes with time. This way you can pre-plan your operations and ensure that you're optimizing your earning potential. Ready? Let's go! So before I start with the seasonality and the freight market, I promised you guys that I would make a website about our two companies. I posted the link to that website in the description down below. So if you're looking to apply for a job, it's going to be much easier to do through this website. Now, if you have any trouble with it, please let me know. As you will very soon find out, I am not a website developer, so I am bound to make some mistakes in that department. But let me know so I can fix it. Anyway, back to the freight market. So generally speaking, January through March is considered the quiet season. And the reason is because in the year before, towards the end of the year, there was a shipping frenzy because of all of those holidays. So from January to March, shippers start recuperating from all those shipments and start preparing for the coming months. Now, as with everything else, there is also the human psychology factor. After spending a ton of money during the holiday season for decorations, gifts, foods, people are not as likely to spend a lot of money during the first few months of the year.
Yeah, me for example, I am broke. This year I'm coming back as the Grinch.
Now from late March, beginning of April through July, the produce season kicks in. And this is an excellent time to be on the West Coast or in the southern states. For example, California, Washington, Texas, Arizona. Great states to get loads from during this time. Now you might be wondering, isn't the produce season only limited to refrigerated trailers? And the answer is no. Carriers with other types of trailers will very often turn to transporting this type of commodity because of the abundance of freight. For example, a dry van trailer might start transporting dry fruits and vegetables that don't require refrigeration. Now, what does this mean? The shippers who are not in the produce market all of a sudden start feeling like there is a shortage of trucks because all of these dry vans and other equipment types are trying to cover the produce market. So this means that those shippers that aren't in the produce market start hiking up their rates in order to entice carriers to pick up their loads and deliver them to their respective destinations. So win-win on all sides. Then there is the peak season, which usually happens from August through October. For reefer trailers, the produce market is in full swing, so there is a ton of freight to be transported. Now for other trailer types, for example, dry vans, there is the back to school supplies, there is the preparation for the upcoming holidays, so a ton of retail goods are being transported by dry vans. Finally, the holiday season, which happens from October through December, is when the shipping frenzy begins. People are buying gifts, food, while shippers are trying to fulfill all those orders, as well as fulfilling any missed or late orders.
And carriers are making big bucks.
Another thing about the holiday season is the fact that it happens during the end of the year, which means shippers are going to be sending out a ton of freight to meet their end of year goals. And this abundance of loads means that rates will start to skyrocket. But that's not all. There's also the weekly cycle you have to consider. On Mondays, you will usually see a ton of freight available on the load board because shippers are collecting those orders over the weekend and posting those loads on Monday morning. However, the rates on Monday are at their lowest. Why? Because shippers and brokers are smart. See, they post loads on Monday, but that load actually can go out anytime between Monday and Friday, Friday being the deadline. So on Monday, the rate is at its lowest and the shipper and broker are trying to sell that freight at the lowest price possible. But as the week goes on and the deadline approaches, those rates start climbing up. On Friday, there will be fewer loads, but the rates will be at their highest. There are fewer loads because during the week, many loads got shipped out, and the loads that are left over on Friday are at their deadline. So shippers will increase their prices to make sure that freight goes out on time. Another reason the rates go up on Friday is because of transit times. You see, when you pick up a load on Friday, you usually have to deliver it on Monday, even if it's a short load, because Monday is the next workday. So as transit times increase, so do the load rates. Now, Saturday and Sunday is a hit or miss. Generally speaking, there are very few loads going out on the weekend. Why?
Because everyone's lazy.
Yes, very few shippers and receivers actually work on the weekend. However, in the summer, for example, in California, you will see that there is a ton of freight posted on the weekend because during the week, there were just not enough trucks to cover all those loads. So shippers are working overtime. The last thing I want you to consider is the end of any given period. Usually during the end of the month, end of the quarter, and end of the year, shippers are trying to make their monthly, quarterly, and yearly goals. So you will see that freight volumes increase and so do rates a lot of the time during those last days of any given period. Now, one of my favorite sayings is man plans and God laughs. Historically, the freight market follows a pattern. That's a given. However, sometimes things happen. For example, coronavirus. Since COVID hit the United States, the market has been doing its own thing. On one hand, the demand for product increased like crazy. On the other hand, there are just not enough trucks being produced in the market. So what happens? Ton of demand, not enough trucks. The rates are going up and up and up no matter what month it is. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take you to the board and I'm going to show you real numbers from 2019 all the way to 2021 and how the market has changed. Okay guys, so after taking some time to map all of this out, I finally did it. So let's talk about it. So number one, here are our months, January through December. Then right here, this is the gross income, 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, 40,000, 50,000, and so on. And right here, color coordinated is the years. So we started in 2019 in October, then we have 2020, and then we have 2021 for the whole year. So this is what this chart represents, and I'm gonna take you through this. Now the question is, why did I decide to do gross income? Because market is market, seasonality is seasonality, but the most interesting part is how much money can you actually make using real numbers during each month. So as I said before, we started in October. So in October, our gross income, it's not net, it's gross. Our gross income was less than $10,000. It was like $9,800 some dollars. But that's because we started in the middle of October. I believe it was October 17th, 2019. Then in November, it skyrocketed. And in December, it went even higher. So as you can see, no matter which year you look at, December is always the highest month because of the holiday frenzy. And you can see from October to December, it starts going up. Okay, so now let's look at 2020. 2020 started off normal, January with a slowdown, and then all of a sudden there was a pretty interesting spike in March. Why? Because this is when COVID hit the United States. So what happened? Panic buying happened. There was no toilet paper. We were transporting on a reefer trailer so much sanitizer, I cannot even tell you. So panic buying hit, so it spiked up the rates. And then when COVID really hit in April, that's when everything went to hell. So yeah, in April, we made less than $10,000 gross. I even remember it. We were in Pennsylvania the day before. There were a ton of loads, not enough trucks to cover them. And all of a sudden, one day passed, I go log into my load board and there are a ton of trucks. Like I'm talking about 2,000 trucks and maybe 5 loads. It was insane. So that's what happened in April. So COVID hit, panic buying, and then all these shippers shut down. So there was a dip. Now at that point, we were on the East Coast. So I decided, okay, April produce season, I decided to move us to the West Coast. And that's why starting from May, the rates started rising, and of course in December they were at their highest. And then we come to 2021, where we hit above average gross income throughout the year. Now, I would love to say that it was me, who is so talented, who is a better negotiator than any FBI agent out there.
But it's not.
The market allowed me to do this. Why? Because there are not enough trucks in the market. COVID shut down a lot of operations. There are chips missing for those trucks, so there are just not enough trucks in the market, and there is an increased demand. Now, do I still get above average rates even in today's market? Yes, I do, but that comes from relationships with brokers and building a good company reputation. It's not just negotiation. But as you can see, the year 2021 has been very good. Now, the question is again, will this trend last? And I'm going to tell you, absolutely not. This trend cannot last. People will start running out of money. People will stop having such a huge demand for product, in my opinion. And of course, truck manufacturers will start producing more trucks, and the prices for those trucks will also go down. So there will be more trucks and trailers in the market to cover those loads. So the rates will start trickling down. Now, the goal is for it not to trickle down like this, because that would really, really suck, but it won't. 2019 was a very slow year. 2021 was an abnormally incredible year for carriers. 2020 was also abnormal because only this portion of the year started out somewhat regular, but as soon as COVID hit right here, everything kind of went berserk. So I hope these numbers help you. I hope it gives you a little bit of insight into what to expect. And remember, seasonality is important to know because that is the general pattern of the market. However, rates don't only depend on seasonality. Seasonality more relates to volume. So usually in January, February, there is a lower volume of loads because the holiday frenzy the year before. Now then there's the produce season, there's the peak season, and then there's the holiday frenzy right here during October through December. And that's why rates start going up, because there's usually a heightened demand for product. But again, rates do not only depend on volume. So I hope this gave you even more insight, and I'll see you guys in my next video.